here, and today I'm going to show you how to make kitchary. So kitchary is a classic Ayurvedic dish that we use when we're detoxing, when we feel like our digestion's a little bit off, or when we're taking a retreat and we want to eat something that's going to be helping us to balance our emotions, our digestion, let us meditate deeper, have fewer thoughts. So kitchary is a really great dish to be familiar with if you practice yoga. If you're studying yoga, if you're practicing meditation, if you're starting to incorporate these yogic principles into your life, kitchary is a way for you to start incorporating Ayurvedic principles, because yoga and Ayurveda are really two sides of one coin. Ayurveda is the medicinal side of yoga. So it teaches us kind of the art of living, and part of that complex world of Ayurvedic medicine is learning how to make our own food, learning how to feed ourselves, and how to use our food as medicine. So kitchary, there's two definitions of kitchary. The first one is the classic Ayurvedic dish. So within just the context of Ayurveda, kitchary is very specific. It's basmati rice, mung beans, ghee, which is a clarified butter oil, which is a medicinal food in Ayurveda, specific spices, which also have medicinal qualities, and specific vegetables for that person that's going to be consuming kitchary. So outside of Ayurveda, however, in India and in the surrounding countries of India, kitchary is has a different definition. So it has like everyday people definition. Kitchary is just rice and beans. It's a rice and a legume that is cooked together or is served together. So those of us who are living in Latin America, the way I am, well, we know that rice and beans is what unites Latin America. Everybody eats rice and beans in different ways. We know that it's easy to keep in the pantry. It's easy to make different. It's also cheap. And so we're going to take these Ayurvedic principles of the fact that kitchary can be a very digestible food. It can be very balancing and nourishing food. And we're going to use some of the ingredients from a classical Ayurvedic point of view, and also using the Ayurvedic properties of some ingredients that can be easily found here in Mexico. So we're going to be changing the formula a little bit so that we can actually make it, those of us who are living here in Mexico. So as we go along, I'll describe that to you. So I'm going to come towards you and I'm going to introduce you to all of these beautiful ingredients that we're going to be using today. Okay, so we're going to start with the spices. So I have some cumin, I have some cilantro seed powder. This is also called coriander powder, same thing. I have some mustard seeds, I have some turmeric, and I have some salt and some black pepper. And then this is a Mesoamerican food. This is called epazote. So I have it dried, but you can buy epazote from any verduleria, which is where they sell fresh fruits and vegetables, or a mercado. They sell it fresh. And so when I buy it fresh and I don't use all of it, then I dry it. So you can buy it this way. You can also buy it at the supermarket in its dry form or in its fresh form. So this is going to help us to digest the lentils, which I'll show you in a bit. And so the spices here are all very medicinal. More than anything, they're going to be helping us digest. And they're also representing the 5 elements. The biggest medicine here is turmeric. So turmeric is a very it's like a panacea in Ayurveda in the sense that it works on almost everything. More than anything, it's an anti-inflammatory. Black pepper is magnifying all of those properties. And coriander seed powder, mustard seed, and cumin are helping our digestion in general. And I have some sea salt here too. So this is going to be like kind of our alchemical part of what's going to be giving us lots of flavor and helping us to digest the dish that we're making. So I'm going to put this aside, and I just have a cup here of regular rice. So this is just regular white rice. Now, if you can find basmati rice, that's ideal, or jasmine rice. Those are two different kinds of rices that are more nutritious than regular white rice and easy to digest. Brown rice is more tricky to digest, so I wouldn't recommend using brown rice in Kitchary, but definitely either jasmine, basmati, or any other aromatic rice. But we're kind of changing the ingredients here with quarantine, with living in Mexico, where it's hard to find basmati rice, and we're just using regular rice because the most important thing in Ayurveda is that our food is digestible, which with regular white rice, it's going to be very digestible. So I'm going to put this aside. And this is the pot that I'm going to be using to make our kitchary. And I have here lentils. So these are just normal lentils. So they look like this, when you buy them. And then lentils are easily digestible, especially pink lentils or brown lentils like these are. They are not as easy to digest as the classic ingredient in Kitchary, which is mung beans. If you can find good quality mung beans here in Playa del Carmen, I can't. I have to order it online, or I get it when I go to Mexico City, or I have somebody bring it back for me from the States. So when I don't have mung beans, I use lentils. And I've done an additional step here to make these lentils even more digestible, which is that I have soaked these. You can see, bring it up a little closer, you can see that some of them are starting to sprout. I've soaked them so long that they're just starting to sprout. And this makes them full of what's called prana, which is life force energy. And it also makes the lentils way more digestible. So this is going to make our dish even closer to what it would be if we were using mung beans. But of course, you at home, if you have mung beans, go ahead and use them. Just take note that if you use mung beans, you're going to need more water. Mung beans soak up quite a bit of water when cooking in comparison to lentils. Okay, so I just want to make it accessible for those of us who can't find mung beans. We're going to use lentils. And as you see already here, I have my beautiful nopal. So this is a traditional Mexican food that people all over the country eat on a daily basis, and it has a huge amount of medicinal qualities. So what we're missing perhaps in the high quality rice and beans, we're going to be getting in these beautiful vegetables that we have here in Mexico. So I have some other vegetables here I'll bring out to show you. But just to finish up here with nopal, which is this cactus, you can buy this at any supermarket or verduleria. Go ahead and get it already cleaned, as you can see, which means they've taken off the thorns. Because if you're not familiar with how to take them off, it can be dangerous. You can get thorns all over your hands. And it's good to try to use it the same day, because otherwise it'll oxidize, which is not a problem. You can use it after a couple days, but you'll see that it'll get kind of like orange or brown, like right around here where it's been cut off. The ideal is to use it the same day that you buy it. And nopal is a blood sugar regulator. It's a digestive. It gives us lots of energy. And according to the research that I'm doing in my work, it is also tridoshic, which means it's good for all doshas. So it helps kapha who wants to overindulge in sweets. It helps kapha have less of those cravings because it grows in hot climates. It has all of these properties to bring down the hot, fiery nature of pitta and pitta digestion and pitta emotions. And then it has this unctuous quality that, like, before you cook it, for instance, you'll see it has all this slime. Once you cook, it'll congeal and it won't be slimy anymore. But that lubrication is awesome for vata, which is a really dry constitution that tends to have more dry skin, dry digestion, brittle nerves, where they're more anxious, spaced out, nervous, that kind of thing. So we're going to use this. And I also have some carrots, amazing for vata, a really grounding vegetable. And I have some celery, really good for pitta, to keep pitta fresh in this hot weather that we're experiencing right now. And I'm also using some cilantro. In Mexican cuisine, we love cilantro for its taste and for that classic cilantro taste. But in Ayurveda, it's really a digestive. This is going to be helping us digest our food. It's really going to be helping us to balance out kind of the fiery nature of some of those spices that we're using. And the lime is going to bring that sour taste into our food, also going to be helping us digest our food, make it really delicious. And I have a little ginger root that we're also going to be using. This is awesome for our muscle system, helps relieve pain, helps bring down inflammation in the body, really good for our digestion, good for our immune system, so many things ginger is good for. And we have our ghee. So here is ghee. Ghee is a clarified butter oil. And in Ayurveda, it is used for so many things. When we incorporate more ghee into our lives, when we eat more ghee in our breakfast, our lunch, our dinner, we have a more tranquil state of mind. Ghee also lubricates the hair, skin, makes our digestion better due to its really high content of butyric acid. And it's also detoxes the body. And it's really delicious. So we're going to be using ghee as the carrier oil for all of our other delicious ingredients. So I'm going to get started here with the things that I have not prepped. So I'm going to start with my nopal. And I'm just going to cut it into squares. And I'm going to dry roast it. And this will take care of that slime. I don't mind the slime. Some people don't like it. It's good for you. It's no problem to eat it. So I'm gonna put it in a dry pan to start to dry roast it. You can also do this when it's whole first and then cut it later. All right, so I have it on the fire there. I'm still connected to what's going on with my nopal. So this brings me to the next point that I'd like to talk about as I prep my local squash. There's different types of squash. There's like a kind of a green zucchini here in Playa. But this one is actually what is more local to Yucatan and Quintana Roo, so I want to include it. We want to eat the foods that grow closest to our homes. So yeah, going back to being present with what we're doing, I can hear my nopal sizzling in the background. Can you hear it? So this is really important part of cooking Ayurvedically, that while we cook, we should only be cooking. We should not be on our phones, multitasking, different chores, doing work on our computers, watching a movie at the same time. Really, we should be giving that respect to these sacred ingredients, taking into account that the fire of the stove in the kitchen is like the sacred fire in a ceremony, where we really need to be respecting it, aware of what is going on. So I have cut half of my squash here, and I'm gonna place it with my other ingredients that I already prepped before coming on camera. So I'm just gonna move it around. The nopal and making it a little bit toasty. You can also just put this you can put the nopal just directly into the kitchary. I just like to do it separately because I like kind of that toastiness. It's my rice, and I'm just gonna add it in. So the lentils, it was 1 cup, but since I let it soak for about a day and a half, it turned into 2 cups because it grew. And I'm using a cup of rice. I like to use more legumes than rice. It's probably because I have more pitta in my constitution. I need a little bit more protein than other constitutions. So it's up to you. Some kitchary recipes call for equal parts of both. I'm gonna turn off my nopal. All right, so I'm gonna add the water. So I'm making this in a pot today, but you can actually make kitchary in a slow cooker. You can put all the ingredients into your slow cooker, go to sleep, and in the morning, turn it off. You've got kitchary. It's really makes it easier. All right, so I'm going to turn my pot here up onto high, and I'm going to close the lid. This will help it boil quicker. Add here the carrots, and the squash, celery, and my roasted nopal. Now, as I'm waiting for it to come to a boil, I'm going to make my tadka. So this is the ghee and spices. So I have my skillet here on medium-low, and I'm going to add 4 tablespoons of ghee. Epazote, I'm going to add to my pot. Epazote. And the salt, we're going to go ahead and add last. This will make sure that our lentils cook correctly. But all the other ingredients we're going to add to the ghee. This will make our, it'll do is the ghee is going to magnify the medicinal properties and all of the delicious tastes of our spices. So if you're using seeds, like I'm using mustard seeds, you only want to incorporate the spices until those seeds start to pop, like cumin seeds or fennel seeds. In this case, I have some mustard seeds. So I have some of my spices in powder and some of them in seeds. It's ideal to have them in their seed, but we're just going to do what we can. This is kind of part of what I was talking about earlier, that I want to encourage you to make kitchary even if you don't have the specific things that you find on the kitchary recipes. You can still alter the ingredients to fit your needs. It can still be what you have in your pantry, what you can find at the store. So it's starting to sizzle. I'm going to turn it up a little bit. We don't want to burn the powders. So as you cook with turmeric, also be careful not to touch your white clothing. It stains really easily. All right, so I heard one pop, so I'm going to turn it off immediately. That's how present we need to be as we make our tadka. And I turned it off immediately. I took it off the heat. That makes sure that we don't start to burn our spices. And now I'm going to place it into the kitchary pot. And as you see, there's still quite a bit of ghee. So what I'm going to do is grab all of that flavor with some water. Look at all that water grabbing the rest of that ghee and spices. I'll go ahead and add that in too. Oh, it smells amazing. I'm going to cover it. Staying present here with my kitchary to make sure that once it starts to boil, I'm going to turn it down to a simmer. Okay, so as you can see, my kitchary is boiling, so I'm going to turn it down to its lowest setting. And I'm gonna cover it. And I'm gonna leave it for about half an hour, 40 minutes. I just remembered that I forgot to put the ginger root. So I'm gonna go ahead and shred up the ginger and add it to our kitchary. So to take the peel off of the ginger, you can actually use a spoon. Kind of everyday, what we might consider boring, are part of what we call like food sadhanas. So these are like spiritual practices in everyday life that we transform into consciousness raising activities simply by being very present with what we're doing. And not a big deal if we notice that we space out, like I spaced out on putting the ginger in our tadka. No problem. We just add it now. Okay, ginger. And let's go ahead and check on the consistency of the kitchary. Okay, it looks good. It looks like we got enough water in there. So I'm gonna close it. So as we're waiting for the kitchary to cook, I wanted to share a little bit with you about Ayurveda for those of you who are not familiar. So in Ayurveda, the way that we eat really depends on what constitution we are. So Vata constitution will eat differently than a Pitta Kapha constitution, and a Kapha constitution will eat different than a Pitta constitution. So there isn't a one size fits all for everyone in Ayurveda, which is more the model of every other nutrition, you know. Oh no, you shouldn't eat so many carbs. Oh no, you should eat more protein. Oh no, you shouldn't eat hybrided foods. Oh no, you got to stay away from sugar. Oh no. There's all of this information, and it can be really confusing and overwhelming for most people who don't have a lot of background in studying what nutrition is. So what I really love about Ayurveda is that it takes a very balanced approach to everything. It's like, well, what is the body that we're dealing with? What is their imbalance, for instance? Do they have any symptoms right now? What time of year are we talking about? Also, where do they live? All of these things tend to be more important to look at the specificity of what that person should really be eating. So if you're wondering what constitution you are and how to find out, really it takes a trained eye. It takes coming in to see an Ayurvedic practitioner like myself so that we can take a full health history. A consultation usually takes about an hour, or sometimes a little bit more than an hour. We take your pulse, we look at your tongue, we look at your face, we look at your whole body. We talk about your skin, your hair, your emotional tendencies, your digestive history, and all of that gives us what is called your constitution or your prakriti. And we share it with you. Okay, well now we know that this is what constitution you are, so these are the foods that you should favor, and then there's other Ayurvedic suggestions as far as your well-being is concerned. whether it be certain types of exercises, certain types of lifestyle changes. I'm gonna come towards you and we can start prepping the ingredients that we're gonna be adding to kitchary once it's cooked. All right, so we have our cilantro and lime. I'm gonna grab the cilantro and give it a rough chop. We're gonna add it here to give our presentation of kitchary a beautiful touch. Cilantro also gives a fresh taste. Now, there are some people who don't like cilantro because it tastes like soap. Now, this is a genetic difference. Those people who can't stand cilantro because it tastes like soap, to them, that's how it really tastes to them. To the rest of us, it just tastes delicious, like it tastes like cilantro. So in those cases, I recommend that people who have that problem, instead of cilantro, you can use Italian parsley, which here in Mexico, they just call parsley. I also wanted to show you, I'm gonna put the cilantro aside here, we'll use it in a second, is that you can put your cilantro or any of your fresh herbs into a cloth napkin the way I have here. So here in Mexico, we disinfect our fresh ingredients. So I've disinfected this. Once it's nice and dry, then I go ahead and roll it in my cloth and I put it in the fridge like this, and it'll stay fresher longer. So another Mesoamerican food that is not traditionally used on kitchary, but today we're gonna use it. We're in Mexico, we're gonna use these awesome ingredients that we have, is avocado, of course. Now I have 2 avocados. I wanted to use this one because this is our local avocado. It's called bagua, and we wanna use as local as possible. Also, there's kind of, unfortunately, a lot of crime around just these kinds of what more popular Hass avocados. And so of course it's better to use these that don't have so much of that connotation, but it's not ripe yet, unfortunately. And I have both, so I'm gonna use the other one. Oh my God, it smells so good. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and add the salt. And it only really needs another 3 or 4 minutes. I can smell the spices, the vegetables. Oh my God, it's super yummy. Okay, I'm gonna leave it here 3 or 4 more minutes. So this is a crock pot, a slow cooker. And this is what I was saying earlier, that if you wanted to make it really easy on yourself, get all your ingredients together during the day, and then at night you put everything in your crock pot, and in the morning you have kitchary that is an amazing, you can be doing yoga while your kitchary is cooking. It's amazing. Just make sure that if you do it this way, you add enough water. In other words, if you're using mung beans, go ahead and add like 3 to 4 times the amount of water. And if you're using lentils, same thing, for good measure, use 3 to 4 times the amount of lentils that you're using, so that your kitchary doesn't start to stick to the bottom, start to burn, or get dehydrated. Okay, my kitchary's all done. I'm just making sure that I don't have any parts here sticking to the bottom. So I'm using my wooden utensil here to grab what's at the bottom. And yeah, you want it to look like this, where the lentils are falling apart, or the mung beans are falling apart. All right, so I'm gonna serve it and make it beautiful. It's really important to make our dishes beautiful, even if we're eating alone. some of us who are alone in quarantine, I know it can be really hard. And I see it as this opportunity to really give ourselves that challenge of how much self-love can we really give ourselves in this situation. So Kitchary is really good for what's going on mentally and emotionally in the epidemic. Being isolated can be very vata vitiating, which means it can be really ungrounding to be on Zoom meetings and on the phone and on the computer and never seeing other human beings. That can really space us out and make us feel ungrounded. So all of these vegetables, the squash and the ginger, the carrot, the cactus and the celery, the rice and beans, the ghee, all of these things are so grounding, and I think this is going to be a really beautiful dish for you to eat today. So I'm going to go ahead and decorate it my Ayurvedic Mexican way, which is with some avocado. I'm going to add lime juice. And cilantro. All right, look how beautiful. Okay, we have our kitchary. This is when we traditionally in Mexico say buen provecho, have a beautiful digestion, enjoy your meal, sit somewhere peaceful, and eat slowly. Be in touch with your five senses as much as you can as you eat. So first, it's recommended in Ayurveda to say thank you. So you can say some sort of grace, or you can just simply take 3 deep breaths as you look at your food and you connect with where your food has come from, like all the different people who were involved, all the different elements that were involved, the different animals that were involved in the creation of your food, and then you yourself, your own hands, cooking your food. Give thanks for all of that before you eat. This is going to help your digestion. It will help you relax your belly. And then go ahead and eat slowly, eat with consciousness. All of this is going to help your food unite with you, because really eating is a miraculous event where all of these molecules that have been around for thousands of years are turning into us, literally. So we want that to happen in a harmonious way. Okay, thank you.